It's hard to reach your financial goals, but it's not impossible. With right strategies in place, you can achieve anything. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how you manage your money. Financial independence begins with a single step. When you take control of your finances, you take control of your entire life. And each payday, you're presented with an opportunity to prioritize your future over your present. I'm going to share with you step by step on how can you plan your payday. These tips will be helpful to you even if you have limited income or fluctuating income. Moreover, in the end, I'll also show you how you can use a free budget tracker that I put in the description to get started. Pay yourself first strategy is an amazing strategy where before paying your bills or splurge, you allocate money for savings and investments. There are 4 key steps to this. The first step is to determine your goals. For example, are you saving for emergency fund for 6 months? Are you saving to start a business? It's important to have a clear goal. For example, what number do you need to achieve that goal? I personally love having short-term and long-term goals. These goals influence your payday decisions. Having clear goals gives you not only that confidence but also the discipline to stick to these goals and achieve it. For example, if I say I want to travel a lot, that's not helpful. But if I say I want to travel twice this year to Bali and to Europe and I need 10 grand for each trip, this way I know that this year exactly I need $20,000 and I can divide that by 12 and I know how much amount I need to save for each month. This is more likely to take me near to my goals rather than saying I want to travel a lot this year. Next step is to automate your savings. This way you're not stressed all the time looking at your bank how you're performing. This way you can automate it, reduce the time which is spent in procrastination and let the technology do its job. I have seen a faster growth in achieving my goals since I've started automating things. Because this way I don't have to worry about doing everything myself. And when the savings are automated, I don't end up wasting my... So 50-30-20 rule basically explains how can you allocate your funds in fixed buckets. One of the bucket will involve needs. For example, 50% you allocate to your needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% to savings and debt. But I personally believe that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. If you think, for example, you don't have any debt and if you have enough savings, then you can allocate more fund to your wants than your needs some months. But it completely depends on you. And having this approach as an example really gives you a clear picture of how will you move forward with allocating your funds. The other saving strategy is to categorize your saving accounts. For example, some funds to travel, some fund for emergency, some fund for starting your business. Then you can create these buckets and prioritize. In the end of the video, I'll give you more details about how can you decide and prioritize. Now, dollar cost averaging strategy is my favorite when it comes to investment. Let me explain you with an example. Imagine you want to buy ice cream every week. So instead of buying whole month's supply in one day, as some weeks ice cream might be cheaper, some weeks it might be expensive. You can get less for your money when it's more expensive. So over time, you end up paying an average price for your ice cream. This way, you're not risking your money on one day. And you don't have to worry about guessing the best day to buy ice cream. Rather, you buy it on a regular basis and it averages the prices in long run. The other important tip for investment is to diversify your portfolio. Instead of just investing in one industry or one kind of stock, bond, or cryptocurrency, you'd rather make a diversified portfolio. There's no point of setting up goals or allocating funds or automating if you are not managing your expenses wisely. So here are some tips that can help you to manage your expenses wisely. When it comes to expenses, there can be essential or non-essential expenses. It's easy to spend more if you don't know how to distinguish essential versus non-essential. Non-essentials are your wants that you desire but not necessary for you to live. It's important to list your expenses and distinguish them into categories. So when it comes to a tight budget, you can distinguish and decide and prioritize based on what is essential and what is not that essential. Ask yourself questions such as, can I live without this? If yes, then this is a non-essential expense. Prioritizing your expenses in case when you have a tight budget will help you to stick to your goals, will help you in long run, and will allow you to actually achieve your goals. The other thing that has helped me a lot is called mindful spending. So conscious spending decisions involve being aware of where your money is going and ensuring that your spending aligns with your values and financial goals. It's about making those choices that maximize your happiness and well-being over your financial health. I can't emphasize enough, but nothing is more important than your happiness. So when you're spending money and evaluating whether it's essential or non-essential, If something is costing your happiness, then it is essential in a way. But to avoid impulse purchases, you can try these strategies. For example, waiting for 24 to 48 hours before you buy anything. You can put it in your cart and still think and take time to find the answer if you can live without that thing or not for long run, or if you can wait for more time. The other thing I love is to budget for fun. I love allocating some fund regardless for my fun time. If I don't end up using it, then I can use it next month. But this way I don't have to worry about increased expenses. Mindful spending prevents financial stress. And financial stress can be a big reason why you spend more. So it's a very vicious cycle. The only way out of this trap is to understand yourself, to give yourself some time, to understand what is your relationship with money. You need to understand your circle of friends. How are they with money? What kind of media are you consuming? What kind of people you're following? All these factors in your environment can give you a big clue as to how you see money. And these all things can influence your decisions. So if you're being good with money, if you're allocating funds, you're making a lot of money and you're still struggling financially, chances are that you're still not being mindful with your money. You're not understanding your relationship with money. And it's a very important step to move forward. Long-term wealth requires a lot of commitment, a lot of discipline. So it's very important to continuously learn. As you grow in life, your priorities changes, so your growth strategy should change as well. For example, 6 years ago when I arrived in Australia, survival was my strategy. To make as much that I can pay bills, to make as much so I can eat food, so I can have a roof over my head. 2 years later, that strategy changed to, okay, I need to pay off my loan. I need to get rid of this debt so that I can start living my life. Then my financial goal became buying a house, having my own home so it can grow in equity. At that time, it was the best time to buy a home. Interest rates were low. I made that decision. And now I have a different priority. So it's very important to continuously learn as you grow. So it's important to figure out where are you in your life? What do you need to prioritize? How are you going to go forward with it? And learn according to that. Don't try to learn everything. Just learn what needs to be learned for that moment, for that goal. This way you'll be able to stick to that goal and you'll be able to focus. Now that we've gone through all the chapters, I'll show you basic template on how can you allocate funds, have short-term, long-term goals, and some tips that has helped me to stick to my goals and to achieve them. And I hope it helps you too. So let's get started. All right, so now I'll show you quickly how can you start with your goals. The first thing is to define what are your expenses, for example, food, bills, housing, rent, etc. After that, you put your short-term goals. Then next is your long-term goals. Now, your long-term goals could be, for example, emergency fund. Are you saving to start a business? Are you planning to travel to Bali? Or you're planning for wedding. So you can find these long-term goals and define them through numbers. Once you define your goals, then you can put the information in different categories. For this, you put along with your paycheck. Once you have done that, you put on notes. After that, you can just add how much you spend for grocery, electricity, movie night, or any other expense. There are different categories that you can choose and even add and create new categories. Why you spend on something more than the other, etc., etc. And this way you can also hold yourself accountable. For example, you can define your essential and non-essential expenses and figure out whether your long-term goals are aligned, your values are aligned with what you're spending money on. Of course, you can't do that with fixed expenses, but for other expenses, for example, if you're going too much out or you're if you're doing too much shopping, you can always hold yourself accountable. To be honest, I love doing this every fortnight instead of doing it every day. This way, I'm not stressed out. And this is a good way to start before you move to something more complex. All right, that's all for the day. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it helpful. If you have any questions or would like to add any tips that you have been using for your payday check, let me know in the comment section which tip did you like, or if there's anything that you have been doing that has been helping you. Please feel free to share it with our community in the comment sections. Your comments are so important to me. And let's keep the conversation going, right? I'll see you in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.